Vowel reduction in nouns. In this module and the next two, we're going to look at what happens to vowels in nouns when you add the plural ending. In this particular module, we'll look at just regular nouns. And next, we'll look at a special type of noun called a siglent noun. And in a third module, we'll look at what happens with monosyllabic nouns. So, let's look at our friend Seuss the horse. This was our paradigm word. So if you remember, Seuss, that's the masculine singular form, right? That's the base form. And then Sousa. Sousa was the feminine singular. If you add the endings, we won't worry about the dual. We're just talking about plural endings here. Su, sim. Get a cute and a meme. And susot. Susot. You notice that the base form, sus, stays the same through the whole thing in this particular case. There's no changes to the oo. The oo sound stays the same. You just add the ending. That's the simplest. And for many nouns, this is the case. However, for some nouns, you have your noun, you add the ending, either the feminine or the masculine or the feminine, and because you're adding ending here, the stress will shift to the end, typically, and you'll get reduction here. The vowel will reduce. And that makes some sense. You add to one end, you've got to take away from the other in order to balance things out. And you can get reduction in one of two places. You can get it here, or you can get it here. Now let's review our syllables. We had three types of syllables, you remember. We had the tone syllable. That is the one where the stress is. So if you add the ending, the stress will usually go there, and that'll be the tone syllable. Then we have the pre-tonic, and then we have pro-pre-tonic. And it'll first try to reduce in the pro-pre-tonic, the furthest away, the opposite side. Adds here, reduces there. If it can't, then it will try to reduce here. Now I'm speaking anthropomorphically here, try to, but you know what I mean. This is what we observe happening. Now in this position, the pro-pre-tonic, the comets, and the tsere, if there are either a comets or tsere there, they will reduce to shava. Okay? Looks like a semicolon. To a shava. In this position, only the tsere will reduce to a shava, and not quite as predictably, but this is second choice. So it'll only happen if this can't happen. Okay, let's diagram this and look at some examples. Maybe I should write out our diagram this a little bit better. Tonic. So that's our tonic syllable. Then we have pre-tonic. This is the one that pre-tonic is immediately before the tonic. And then two syllables from the tonic is the pro-pre-tonic. If I can fit that in here. Pro, pre, well, that ain't gonna fit. We'll just put a T for tonic there. Okay, and what I just said in the previous slide was that comets and a tsere will reduce here. That's number one choice. If you can't do that, if you can't have pro-pre-tonic reduction, then a tsere, and only a tsere, not a comets, in the pre-tonic may reduce. Let's look at navi. Navi is prophet. Na, vi, this is the singular. Okay. Masculine singular form. What happens if you add im? You get pro-pre-tonic reduction, because you got a comet in the pro-pre-tonic position. So it'll reduce. It reduces to a shava. Na, close my bait. Na, vi, ne, vi, and then we add the ending, im. So that's an example of pro-pre-tonic reduction, because we have comets in the pro-pre-tonic position. We're adding an ending. Similarly, lave, we'll look at lave or levav in the singular form. This is a feminine word. It means heart. Levav. Now this is a word that has a tsere in the Pro-Tonic reduction, in the Pro-Tonic syllable, levav. Once you add the im, it becomes Pro-Tonic. So it will also reduce le. Let me rewrite that. Le va vote. Le va vote. So here we have an example of Pro-Tonic reduction of a comets, and here we have one of Pro-Tonic reduction of a tsere. Here we have a masculine ending, plural ending. Here we have a feminine plural ending. So that's what we mean when we talk about Pro-Tonic reduction. Now, what happens here? This is a test, but not a hard test. Okay, if we have chacham, wise man, masculine singular, wise man. If we add im on there, what happens? Let's do this part. Let's do this. Let's just do our consonants for a moment. We'll put the ending on, im, so wise men. Now, do we get Pro-Tonic reduction? Can we? Well, we have a comets in the Pro-Tonic position right here. The question is, what is it going to reduce to? Here we saw it reduced to a shava. That's the default thing. However, with a guttural, gutturals can't take shava, simple shava, so they will take a compound shava. So you'll get that. Pataf patach. So chachamim. So one small note, just note that if you have a guttural, it's not going to go to simple shava, it's going to go to a compound shava. Okay. Let's go back to our thing here. If we can't reduce in the Pro-Tonic, then the next option is to reduce in the Pre-Tonic. And let's look at some examples of that. Oh, we need one more over. So if we have show fate, means judge, or one who judges. Show fate, if we add an im to that, let's, okay, if we add im on there, can we have Pro-Tonic reduction? Well, we can't, because Pro-Tonic reduction is only going to happen with a comets or a tsere in this position. Here we have a holon vav. In addition, maters, historically long vowels, in other words, vowels that are marked with a mater, do not reduce. You can't reduce those. So we got two reasons here. Doubly certain that this is not going to reduce. So show, but now we look at the Pre-Tonic position, the next syllable along, and it has a tsere, and a tsere does reduce in the Pre-Tonic position. So show fe tim. Show fe tim. So if we can't reduce in the furthest one, the Pro-Tonic, then we can look at reduction in the Pre-Tonic if it has a tsere. Let's look at actually a very similar word. I'll put the name here just to emphasize. This is the noun. This is actually a participle. We'll talk about participles later. They're kind of verb-noun combinations. But let's look at this word, mishpat. Squigglies, squigglies. Mish. Make sure I spell this right. Mish. So dagesh lene, because this is a silent shava. Mishpat. This means judgment, and this is judges. The basic verb form here would be shafat, which means to judge. So you can see how this is related. judgments coming from that. This is the noun form, and often you can take a verb form and add a meme on it. A meme or a tav onto a verb form will produce a corresponding noun often. So that helps in reading Hebrew. You learn one form, the shin, the pei, and the tav, or the tate here, and then you can see at least the basic sense in a number of different words. Anyway, that's just free information. Mishpat, that's the masculine singular. What happens if we add im to it? Okay, let's start to write this. First syllable, mish. Do we have Pre Tonic reduction? Do we have a kametz or tsere here? No, we don't. So, no Pre Tonic reduction. Let's write the next one. So we'll put both consonants down, the syllable. Now we have a kametz here. So we're going to try now Pre Tonic reduction. Pre Tonic didn't work. What about Pre Tonic? Well, that's not going to work either because only the tsere will reduce in the Pre Tonic position. Okay, here in the Pre Tonic, either of these will reduce, kametz or tsere, but in the Pre Tonic, it's only tsere. So, no luck. Can't reduce here, can't reduce here. So then we add our ending, we just add it straight on. This is the word division here. So, mishpatim. Mishpat becomes mishpatim. Can't reduce anything. Now, what else do I want to say here? This is fairly predictable. This is less predictable, the Pre-Tonic reduction, but we will see it in verb paradigms. Once we get to verbs, we'll look at some patterns for verbs, and there are a couple of forms in there that almost always have Pre-Tonic reduction. So we'll see it there. But in general, this is a little harder to predict than this one.